Every day, millions of sports enthusiasts turn on the TV or keep up with the news to stay informed about their favorite teams and athletes. Notably, female athletes have gained increasing attention in recent years, matching or even surpassing their male counterparts, as is the case in tennis. However, like male athletes, women are not immune to accidents or embarrassing situations. Throughout sports history, unexpected events have caught everyone's attention. That's exactly what we're here to explore today. During a golf match, a surprising moment involving a bystander went viral on social media because the woman picked up the ball that had been struck by an athlete, directly affecting the play. In footage from the live broadcast, we see the exact moment the athlete takes a solid swing, sending the ball near some trees up ahead. In that same spot, a woman who seemed to be strolling in the park where the match was taking place happened upon the ball landing right beside her. Thinking she was helping, she picked it up and looked around for someone to return it to. However, one of the event's officials approached her, visibly upset because by picking up the ball, she had directly interfered with the game. In golf, the athlete must make as many strokes as needed until the ball is holed. Therefore, the player would have walked to where the ball had landed to take another shot, which meant it should not have been moved.
Missed by quarter.
Yeah, ball was
Whoa!
No!
Oh, it's not a souvenir. It's not a souvenir.
The man arrives, angry about the interference. The woman looks startled and shocked to learn she was disrupting the game. She puts the ball back where it was and leaves, clearly embarrassed by the situation. One of the biggest names of Team Brazil in Paris, Nathalie Moellhausen, caused concern for fans and staff during her debut in fencing at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024. Things got even stranger when a member of her team seemed to think the chair brought to support Nathalie was actually for him. In the footage, the athlete is seen collapsed on the ground, feeling unwell, and at that moment, some of her staff arrived to help her. An event official also approaches with a chair for the athlete, who was feeling faint. But right at that moment, there is a misunderstanding, and a member of her staff, upon seeing the chair, believes for a second that it is for him and sits down. He quickly realizes his mistake, gets up, and helps place the athlete on the seat so she can be more comfortable. Naturally, the video went viral, not only because the athlete was feeling ill, but also because of the staff member's misstep, who seemed to lose track of what was happening for a few seconds. In the 100-meter hurdles at the Diamond League in Brussels, Belgium, in 2011, Australian hurdler Sally Pearson experienced a tough time, performing far below expectations and even taking a massive tumble that left her extremely embarrassed. Sally was in lane 5 during the race. After the starting gun, she began well, leading the competition. However, after clearing 5 hurdles, she struggled with the 6th, catching her foot on it after passing over it. This severely threw off her concentration, and by the 7th jump, she had lost her lead after taking a hard fall. Extremely embarrassed by her mistake, Sally didn't even return to the race, which would have placed her last. Instead, reluctantly accepting defeat, she headed straight to the locker room, visibly frustrated by the situation. Heloa Camelo is a young Brazilian diving prodigy who has been attracting attention not only in Brazil, but around the world because of her talent in the sport. Heloa is under close watch, and competing in the Olympics someday seems almost inevitable. Still, she remains calm and cautious about the possibility, wanting to be genuinely ready to perform at the highest level. After all, many athletes end up succumbing to the pressure to compete, yielding disappointing results that dampen their careers. This was the case of the young American Allison Gibson, who had a tough moment at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024 during the 3-meter springboard diving event. At the start of her preliminary round, her feet collided with the board during a twisting move. This ruined her dive, caused a clumsy fall into the water, and led to a score of 0 from the judges, who recorded the movement as a no dive. On social media, Allison reflected on the moment, emphasizing that one isolated mistake would not define her career in the sport. However, many pointed out that she might not have been prepared for that level of competition. The butt-slapping championship among women in Romania is a peculiar and lighthearted event that has been gaining attention on social media due to its unusual concept. The event usually takes place in gyms or bodybuilding venues and is part of a series of similar competitions, such as the face-slapping championship, which is already more well-known. 2 competitors take turns slapping each other's buttocks until one gives up or can no longer continue. The winner is the one who shows greater endurance and can take the slaps without quitting. The event has a laid-back tone, serving more as an entertainment spectacle than a serious sporting competition. It went viral thanks to videos showing participants exchanging slaps in a relaxed manner, often with humor and exaggeration. Although it is seen as a prank, some people consider the event unnecessary or even objectifying, sparking debates about the boundary between entertainment and respect for the participants. This type of event reflects a trend of unusual and humorous competitions that become phenomena in the era of social media, while also demonstrating how culture can vary widely between different regions and audiences. An unusual and controversial moment occurred during the traditional face-off between boxers Michaela Lauren and Cecilia Brækhus before their fight in 2017. During the press conference and photo pose, Michaela surprised everyone by kissing Cecilia on the mouth, creating an unexpected scene that quickly went viral. During the face-off, when the two boxers were close, Michaela Lauren suddenly leaned in and kissed Cecilia Brækhus. Cecilia was clearly surprised, immediately backing away and laughing at the situation, though she seemed uncomfortable with the gesture. Michaela Lauren later explained that the kiss was a provocation, part of her strategy to unsettle her rival before the fight. The episode gained prominence in the sports media and on social networks, dividing opinions among boxing fans. Despite the provocation, Michaela Lauren ended up being defeated by Cecilia Brækhus, who retained her world title in a convincing fight. The kissing situation remained a curious footnote in the history of their confrontation, but it did not change the final outcome. During a women's futsal match in Acre in Brazil, between the teams Montenegro and Veneza, a player got angry with her opponent's good performance and, in a violent act, landed a kick to the opponent's face while she was on the ground. The player Monique, from Montenegro, was standing out with dribbles, passes, and goals, and she was also provoking her opponents. However, at one point in the match, while disputing the ball with a Veneza player, Monique tried a rainbow flick, was fouled, and while she was on the ground, received an unfair and aggressive kick from the opponent, who was completely overtaken by anger due to Monique's good performance. After the kick, all hell broke loose, with Montenegro players rushing toward the aggressor to defend Monique. The coaching staffs and the refereeing crew had to step in to calm things down. The Veneza player responsible for the aggression was sent off and punished with a few matches of suspension. Fortunately, Monique did not sustain serious injuries. At the 2016 Olympics held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazilian fans were thrilled to see Croatian athlete Sandra Perković take home the gold medal in the discus throw. But it wasn't all smooth sailing for Sandra. There was a rather scary moment, especially for a poor staff member on the field who nearly got hit by one of her throws. The sound operator, holding a large microphone, had to move out of the way when the disc came flying straight at him. Luckily, he managed to fulfill his role in the competition. The sound of the disc hitting the ground was very clear, despite nearly destroying the microphone. Sandra, realizing she had thrown a bit off course, was also surprised, especially when she saw the operator almost getting hit. Fortunately, no one was hurt during the throw, and despite this miscalculation, the competitor still took home the gold medal. In the women's 100-meter final at the 2000 Sydney Olympics, Marion Jones won gold for the United States with an unbelievable 10.75 seconds. But nearly 10 years later, the truth came out when Marion admitted to cheating by using performance-enhancing drugs. After a lengthy controversy and her initial denials, in 2007, Marion tearfully admitted the deception publicly at a press conference.
And so it is with a great amount of shame that I stand before you and tell you that I have betrayed your trust.
This news completely altered the Sydney race's standings. Following Marion's confession and the subsequent stripping of her title, 2 years later in 2009, the International Olympic Committee chose not to award the gold medal to Greek runner Ekaterini Thanou, who had originally come in second, due to her refusal to undergo a drug test before the 2004 Athens Olympics. To this day, the official result does not include a gold medal. However, Jamaican sprinter Tana Lawrence, who had finished third, moved up to the second-place podium spot alongside Ekaterini, and her compatriot Merlene Ottey, who was fourth, received the bronze medal. During a match in the Women's Copa Libertadores, a foul gave rise to a huge brawl among players from both teams, culminating in aggression in the midst of the chaos. In a ball dispute, one player claimed she was hit in the face by an opponent and fell to the ground. Her teammates, furious, went after the opponent, who was also defended by her own teammates, creating a real mess. What could have been just a verbal exchange quickly escalated when one of the players punched the opponent square in the face, turning the fight up another notch. The field looked more like a boxing ring than a soccer pitch. The strangest thing is that the referee did not even send off the aggressor, giving only a yellow card, which goes against the rules that call for a red card and expulsion in cases of aggression. This decision caused even more anger among the players and the crowd. The setter of the Brazilian national volleyball team, representing Brazil, displayed impressive footwork and tricked the opponents during a volleyball match. While competing for a point, the ball seemed lost, and the opposing team turned their backs and started to celebrate. However, the Brazilian setter managed to use her foot, bringing the ball back into play, and her team won the point in a truly unexpected scene. The opponents simply did not see the Brazilian player's recovery and handed over the point for free. When they noticed the referee awarding the point to the other side, the opponents were left utterly confused, since they believed the play was already over. But the rule allows the ball to be kicked, so the point was rightfully validated. The artistic gymnastics final at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024 gave rise to a scene deemed funny and cute, which then went viral on social media. The Chinese gymnast Yakin Zhou, just 18 years old, shyly imitated the Italian gymnasts, who were biting their Olympic medals. Culturally, Chinese athletes do not usually have that habit, which explains Zhou's slightly awkward reaction to her teammates' behavior. In the footage, you can see she looks a bit puzzled at the Italians next to her on the podium. Then she shows her surprise and brings the medal to her mouth, though without truly biting it the way her colleagues did. Yakin Zhou finished in second place in the balance beam final. On social media, the video went viral, and viewers found her reaction adorable, given how surprised she looked. At the end of a tennis championship, Team Busey, made up of players Bethany Maddox-Sands and Lucy Safarova, became famous beyond the sports world, not for their victory, but for a rather unusual celebration. To understand what happened, we need to go back to a tournament in Melbourne, Australia, when the athletes decided to create an upbeat warm-up routine for their matches. Without much planning, the tennis players started dancing, trying to relax before the game. Little did they know that moment would change their careers forever. After the tournament, Busey received the trophy, but it ended up on the ground because a photographer asked them to repeat the dance. In an improvised, unrehearsed move, Lucy pushed her friend to perform, and the iconic moment was captured. What was meant to be a spontaneous celebration ended up being a bit embarrassing for Bethany and Lucy. Despite all the good humor and positive energy, some people didn't understand the dance, considering it unfit for the competitive tennis environment. Thankfully, the athletes weren't penalized for their conduct. It lasted only 46 seconds for the Italian boxer Angela Carini at the Olympics in Paris in 2024. In the first round of the women's boxing category up to 66 kilograms, she abandoned the fight against the Algerian Imane Khelif, one of the boxers who had previously failed gender tests but was authorized by the International Olympic Committee to compete in the Games. Despite the controversy, Carini assured that quitting had nothing to do with the situation involving her opponent. The athlete explained that she gave up due to intense pain in her nose. With about 30 seconds of fighting, she went to her corner to adjust her headgear and soon after threw in the towel, which in boxing means giving up the match. At the 2023 World Boxing Championship in New Delhi, in India, Imane Khelif was disqualified by the International Boxing Association, whose president, Igor Kremlev, stated that DNA tests indicated the presence of XY chromosomes, which are male, and therefore excluded her from sporting events. The case stirred up a huge debate. The athlete's family claims that Khelif was indeed born a woman, and her father even presented a birth certificate to prove it. The internet also got divided, with many accusing her and others defending her. During a collegiate women's soccer match, a pretty nasty situation went down between players from Brigham Young University and the University of New Mexico. Two players, one from each side who apparently had some intense rivalry, started exchanging hits during the game. It all began when the Brigham Young player elbowed the New Mexico player's breasts. In response, the New Mexico player threw a punch at her opponent's back. The aggressions did not stop there. The two kept on clashing, going for the ball aggressively, even stomping on each other and throwing kicks at different parts of the body. It all escalated when the Brigham Young player pulled her rival's shorts, exposing her underwear. At that moment, the New Mexico player grabbed the other's hair and tossed her to the ground. After that, there were more slaps, kicks to the ball hitting faces, and verbal abuse during sprints and challenges. The biggest concern is that all this unfolded in a televised game, with commentators watching the whole thing. The referee apparently did not notice the players' actions and did not issue any cards against the athletes, letting the situation go unchecked. Jerneja Rydzel, a Slovenian pole vaulter, gained attention in 2013 not only for her athletic performances but also for her uniform, which was considered controversial at the time. During a competition, the design and cut of her outfit attracted the attention of both the public and the media, generating debate about the functionality and aesthetics of women's sports uniforms. The outfit worn by Jerneja was very form-fitting and featured cuts and a design that highlighted her physique. Some spectators considered it daring or inappropriate for the occasion, while some praised her confidence and style. Others voiced criticism, arguing that the attire shifted the focus from athletic performance to the athlete's appearance. Jerneja and her team emphasized that the uniform was designed to optimize performance, being lightweight and comfortable, similar to many outfits used in high-intensity sports. Although the controversy generated temporary attention, Jerneja continued her career focused on the sport, showing that her true highlight is her dedication and skill in pole vaulting. Jamaican sprinter Campbell Brown competed in the 200-meter race at the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. This was a qualifying round, and Campbell managed to qualify, finishing in third place. However, an incident occurred that, if it hadn't happened, might have allowed her to secure a second or even first-place finish. Unfortunately, during a curve, Campbell got confused and stepped out of her lane, moving into the section designated for her competitor on the right. When it comes to a circular track, the farther from the center, the larger the perimeter. That's why the athletes don't start side by side but in staggered positions, compensating for the distance from the center so that everyone runs exactly the same distance. So if a sprinter steps into the lane to their left, they gain an unfair advantage and are disqualified. But if they step into the lane on their right, as long as they don't interfere with the athlete running there, they won't be penalized. In Campbell's case, she didn't suffer any penalty, except for the extra distance she had to cover due to her mistake. Considering the added distance, she might have placed higher if she'd stayed in her own lane. A soccer player for the Zambia women's national team named Barbara Branda was unable to compete in the Women's Africa Cup of Nations because she was cut for a rather controversial reason. She reportedly failed a gender test administered by the Confederation of African Football. According to the president of the Football Association of Zambia, the athlete was excluded for having failed this gender test. He explained that every player had to undergo a gender exam, an obligatory requirement by the Confederation, and unfortunately, she did not meet the criteria established. When the BBC contacted the Confederation's Director of Communications, Lux September, for comment, he responded that there was no decision from the medical committee of the Confederation. That statement angered the president of Zambia's Football Association, as it seemed to suggest that the decision to cut the athlete had been made by Zambia's own national team, which was not accurate. Barbara Branda is considered the best player in Zambia and one of the best on the entire African continent. In 2024, after all the controversy subsided, she was able to return to the field and was named BBC Women's Footballer of the Year. An unusual play between the national teams of Denmark and Norway caught quite a bit of attention. Two players were fighting for the ball when the Norwegian athlete was skillfully dribbled by her rival. Not wanting to be left behind, the Norwegian player clung to the Danish player's shorts, causing her underwear to be exposed. The moment was quick, and maybe the fans in the stadium did not even realize what happened. However, on television, the replay made it very clear, even showing the color of the athlete's undergarment, who was not wearing anything underneath except her panties. Apparently, the referee did not call a foul or issue a yellow card, and the match went on normally as if nothing had happened. With 3 gold medals and 6 podium finishes in Olympic Games, the British rider Charlotte Dujardin, a star in the dressage discipline of equestrian, decided to withdraw from the 2024 Olympics right before the start of the competition. In an official statement, Dujardin acknowledged that she gave up on going for her 4th Olympic title after a video showing her hitting a horse went viral online. According to the British athlete, the incident took place 4 years earlier. Without giving more details, the multi-medal winner, who had been considered to carry the British flag at the Paris Games, admitted her mistake, said her attitude was unjustifiable, and thus stepped away from the competition. She spoke out, saying that the incident was completely out of character and did not reflect her true way of training horses or students. She also emphasized feeling deeply ashamed and ended by asking for forgiveness. During the Paris 2024 Olympics, the Brazilian judoka Mayra Aguiar faced an early elimination in her opening match, losing to the Italian Alice Belandi. Upset, Mayra revealed her humanity by asking reporter Marcelo Correge for a hug during an interview. In tears, she thanked him for his supportive words and spoke about the emotional pressure and resilience that sports teach, saying, "Judo taught me so much for life. You fall and get up." Mayra, who won bronze medals in London 2012, Rio de Janeiro in Brazil 2016, and Tokyo 2020, acknowledged her opponent's superiority and expressed her determination to go home, clear my head, and get back up again. The touching scene gained prominence on social media, with Marcelo Correge commenting on the moment's impact, saying it was impossible to remain professionally detached in the face of such emotion.
Eu sei que você queria a final, mas você tem que...
Dá abraço.
The Nigerian athlete Blessing Okigbar, who won a silver medal in the long jump at the Beijing Olympics in China in 2008, found herself in an awkward situation during the Diamond League in Oslo, in Norway, in 2017. Her wig came off on her first jump and ended up lying on the landing area. To make matters worse, the athlete had to leave it there until the jump was measured, and it was all shown live to the entire world. Okigbar even lost several centimeters as a result of the wig. By rule, the measurement is taken from the point closest to the start of the runway that touches the sand. In this case, her wig remained behind her body at about 6.21 meters. During the Glasgow Commonwealth Games in 2014, before starting the 100-meter hurdles race, Australian sprinter Michelle Janicki was preparing with a warm-up that caught the crowd's attention. Apparently, she has a habit of warming up in a rather unique way, with a little dance that even earned a few sighs from the audience, mainly due to her athletic beauty. However, the cameraman caught an amusing moment when, after filming Michelle, he focused on her competitor, who seemed, well, not too thrilled with that dance. Pierre Beckles seemed surprised by the camera. She adjusted her expression, trying to hide her reaction, but we all saw her look of disapproval while the cameraman filmed Michelle dancing, her expression humorously contrasting with the joyful mood of her rival. We know that rugby is a sport of intense contact and physical strength between the athletes. Because of this, they often collide and get tangled up as they fight for the ball. During a women's match between the national teams of the United States and England, a play drew attention. While the American athletes surrounded the opponent holding the ball to stop her from advancing, an awkward and unusual situation occurred. The athlete ended up having her shorts pulled down, leaving her almost naked in front of everyone at the stadium or watching the broadcast. As can be seen, she's initially grabbed, but continues in the dispute until her shorts are pulled, causing her to fall. The shorts slip down, revealing her underwear and leaving her completely exposed in an embarrassing scene that went viral worldwide. During a match in the English Women's Soccer League, a Brighton player found herself in an unusual scene when she challenged a Liverpool player for the ball and ended up being fouled. In the heat of the battle, the Brighton player went to the ground, and since she was on her period, her sanitary pad ended up coming loose and falling onto the pitch, making for a really awkward moment. Right away, the referee not only called the foul, but also halted the match. A staff member came onto the field wearing a glove to pick up the pad, and only after that was the match resumed. The scene went viral on the internet, since it is something very uncommon to see, especially in the soccer world. However, it is important to remember that women are subject to this, as their menstrual cycle can occur when they need to be on the field, and using pads is a common solution. Kendall Ellis represents the United States in the women's 400-meter track event. However, anyone who watched her compete at the Paris Olympics in France in 2024 might not be aware that she almost missed her chance to participate due to an incident shortly before the semifinal at the Olympic trials. The athlete got stuck in a portable toilet for 10 minutes and had to call for help so she would not miss the race. In an interview, she revealed the moment was scary, especially since she dreads small spaces. She is famously claustrophobic, and being locked in a cramped area was pure panic for her. The American athlete who helped the women's 4x400-meter team earn gold and the mixed relay team earn bronze in Tokyo did not have her phone with her when it happened. After about 5 minutes with no escape, she put aside her embarrassment and started yelling for assistance inside the toilet. An employee at the training track heard her calls and was able to get her out. The episode received a great deal of attention, and soon after she won her semifinal and final, the athlete secured a sponsorship deal with a toilet paper manufacturer, ensuring her participation in the Paris Olympics. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.